I remember the dust kicking up from the gravel driveway as Margaret's sleek black SUV pulled up to our ranch house in the heart of Arizona's Sonoran Desert. It was barely 24 hours since we'd laid Jack to rest under the wide blue sky at the local cemetery in Tucson. The sun was beating down relentlessly, the kind of heat that makes everything feel raw and exposed. I'd been sitting on the porch swing, the one Jack and I had hung together during our first summer here, staring at the saguaro cacti that dotted the horizon like silent sentinels. My eyes were swollen from crying, and my throat felt like sandpaper. The phone had rung earlier that afternoon, shattering the fragile quiet I'd clung to. "Emily," Margaret's voice had sliced through the line like a cold wind off the mountains.
No, hello.
"No, how are you holding up?" "Just my name," spat out with that familiar disdain she'd harbored since the day Jack brought me home. "You need to start packing. The house is sold. New owners move in Friday." I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles white against the faded wood of the swing.
What?
"Margaret, this is our home. Jack and I." "Jack's gone," she cut in, her tone flat and final, like slamming a door. "And that property's been in the Blackwood family for generations. I let my son play house there with you, but it's time you moved on." "Play house." The word stung like a scorpion's tail. Jack and I had built a life here, turning this old ranch into something warm and real. We'd ridden horses through the canyons at sunset, planned barbecues with neighbors, dreamed of kids running across the dusty yard. But Margaret had never seen me as anything but an outsider, a small-town teacher from Flagstaff who didn't fit her vision of Blackwood legacy. She'd fought our marriage tooth and nail, calling me a gold digger behind closed doors, even though I'd signed a prenup without batting an eye. "Where am I supposed to go?" I whispered, the vast desert suddenly feeling like it was closing in. "That's your problem,
Dear.
Figure it out. You've got until tomorrow." She hung up, leaving me in silence broken only by the distant call of a coyote. I staggered inside, the cool tile floor shock against my bare feet. The house smelled like Jack Still, coffee grounds, and leather from his boots. His favorite hat hung on the hook by the door, and I touched it, feeling the ache in my chest deepen. Cancer had taken him fast. Just 3 months from diagnosis to that final breath in the hospice bed. We'd held hands until the end, whispering promises. But now this, evicted like some squatter, rage bubbled up through the grief. Margaret thought she could bulldoze me because Jack wasn't here to stand between us anymore. She'd always pulled strings, using her old money from the family's mining interests to control everything.
But something in me snapped.
I wasn't going down without a fight. 3 years earlier, I'd been wiping down tables at a diner in Sedona when my friend Sarah texted me about a charity rodeo fundraiser. "Come on,
Eminencia.
you need a night out. Free ticket." I'd almost said no. My life was lesson plans and grading papers at the local high school. But I went, squeezing into my best jeans and boots, feeling out of place among the ranchers and oil tycoons in their Stetsons and silver buckles. That's where I met Jack. He was leaning against the corral fence, looking as uncomfortable as I felt,
Tugging at his BOLO tie.
Our eyes locked, and he grinned, that real, crooked smile that lit up his whole face. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere but here," he said, ambling over. "Guilty," I laughed. "I'm more burgers and hikes than auctions and line dancing."
Thank God.
"I'm Jack. Want to sneak out for some real food? There's a taco truck down the road." We talked until the stars came out, sharing stories over carne asada and cold beer. He told me about his architecture firm, designing eco-friendly ranches, and his strained relationship with his mother. I shared my passion for teaching history, My dreams of traveling the Southwest's national parks. Mom wants me to marry someone from her circle, he admitted, rolling his eyes. Someone who knows wine lists and stock tips. And you? I asked. I want someone who makes me laugh and doesn't mind getting dusty on a trail ride. We were hooked after that. Jack would surprise me at school with coffee, listening to my stories about rowdy students. I'd join him on site visits, offering ideas for sustainable designs. It was easy, natural. But then came Margaret. He'd delayed the introduction for months. But eventually, we drove to her sprawling estate outside Phoenix, all adobe walls and manicured lawns defying the desert. She greeted us at the door, her silk blouse impeccable, her gaze appraising me like a flawed gem. So, you're the teacher, she said, making it sound like a flaw. Dinner was torture. She grilled me on my family's modest background. My dad was a mechanic, Mom a nurse, hinting I lacked the refinement for Blackwood circles. Jack defended me, but she was relentless. Jack needs a partner who understands legacy, she said over pecan pie. Not someone chasing dreams. After that, she waged war. Constant calls pulling him away. Unannounced visits when I was over, even digging into my past for dirt. She found an old student loan default from college and threatened to expose it if we didn't split. Maybe we should, I told Jack one night, tears streaming. He cupped my face.
No.
Mom's controlled my life too long. Schools, friends,
Even my job. But not this.
not us. He proposed 2 weeks later under a full moon in the desert. And we married in a simple ceremony at our new ranch house, the one he'd bought as our haven. Margaret showed up in black, whispering to guests it wouldn't last. But it did. 8 years of love, laughter, and quiet strength, until the cancer diagnosis shattered it all.
Now.
Back in the present, with her eviction looming, I paced the house. Something nagged at me. Jack had always handled our papers,
Saying,
let me worry about the boring stuff. Was there more to it? In our bedroom, I stared at our wedding photo on the dresser, the two of us beaming amid red rocks. Behind it, I noticed a loose panel in the wall. Heart pounding, I pried it open, revealing a hidden safe. The code? Our anniversary. Inside, folders, letters, a USB drive. The first letter was from Jack. Emily, if you're reading this,
I'm gone.
but know this, I've protected you from Mom's schemes. She thinks she owns everything, but she doesn't. Take these to a lawyer you trust.
Fight back.
You're my rock. Love always, Jack. Tears blurred my vision as I dove into the documents. What I found would change everything. The safe's contents spilled across our bed like buried treasure from a ghost town mine. Bank statements, property deeds, emails, evidence of Margaret's web of deceit. Jack had documented it all meticulously, like the architect he was, building a case brick by brick. The house deed showed he'd bought it outright with his grandfather's inheritance. Money Margaret couldn't touch under Arizona law. No family trust. No shared ownership. It was his, and 2 years ago, he'd quietly transferred it to me via a revocable living trust, shielding it from her grasp. But the real bombshell? Forged signatures on transfers siphoning funds from Jack's accounts to hers. Over 5 years, she'd stolen nearly $200,000, masking it as loans or investments. Emails revealed her pressuring his old lawyer, Mr. Harlan, to backdate documents. It was fraud. Plain and simple felonies under state and federal law. Jack's notes explained he discovered it during an audit, but kept quiet to avoid a family war while battling his health. Instead, he'd prepared this arsenal for me. By morning, exhaustion warred with determination. I called my brother, Mike, a contractor in Albuquerque.
Ink.
You sound rough. What's going on? I spilled it all, the call. The eviction threat. The safe. That snake, he growled. Jack always said she was ruthless. I know a lawyer in Tucson, Sarah Klein. She's a bulldog on estate fraud. Helped me with a shady partner once. I'll text her number. Sarah's office was a no-nonsense space in downtown Tucson, with views of the Catalina Mountains and walls lined with law books. She was in her 40s, sharp-suited,
With a gaze that could cut glass.
Mrs. Hayes Blackwood, she said, scanning the papers. This isn't just mean-spirited. It's criminal. Forgery, embezzlement, attempted fraudulent conveyance. We can nail her. So, the house is mine? I asked, voice trembling. Absolutely. Arizona's community property laws favor spouses. And this trust is ironclad. Margaret's sale is void. She can't sell what she doesn't own. Relief washed over me like a desert rain. But anger lingered. She's meeting buyers this afternoon. Claims it's a done deal. Sarah's eyes gleamed. Perfect. We'll crash the party with injunctions. I'll file for a temporary restraining order to halt any transaction and keep her off your property. She worked fast, calling clerks and a judge she knew. By noon, we had papers, an emergency injunction, a fraud complaint ready for the DA, and demands for restitution. As we drove to the ranch, Sarah glanced at me. Your husband was smart. He knew her patterns control through money. But he underestimated you less than she did. I touched Jack's letter in my pocket. He believed in me. We arrived just as Margaret's SUV crunched gravel, followed by a pickup truck. I watched from the window as she stepped out, pristine in her designer jeans and turquoise jewelry, playing the wealthy Western matriarch. The buyers, a couple in their 50s, the Millers trailed her, excited smiles fading when they sensed the tension. Margaret didn't knock. She used her key, striding in like she owned the place. Emily, I hope you've cleared out. The Millers are here for inspection. I stepped from the kitchen, folder in hand. Actually, Margaret, they're not. And neither are you. Her confidence flickered. What nonsense is this? The Millers hovered awkwardly. Mrs. Blackwood, is there a problem? No problem, I said calmly. Just facts. I laid out the real deed. This property was Jack's, bought with his inheritance. Never yours. And he transferred it to me years ago. Margaret's face paled under her makeup. That's absurd. I have the family deed right here. She produced her forged papers. Fakes, I countered. Jack documented your forgeries. Bank transfers, signatures, all illegal. Mr. Miller frowned. You said clear title. We put down earnest money. Sold our condo in Phoenix. Sarah emerged from the hall.
I'm Sarah Klein.
Emily's attorney. Those documents are fraudulent. We've filed an injunction stopping the sale. Margaret's hands shook. You can't prove anything. We can, Sarah said, producing emails. Embezzlement over $200,000. Arizona statutes make this grand theft up to 12.5 years. Plus federal wire fraud if we dig deeper. The Millers backed away. We're out. Return our deposit. Margaret stammered. This is a misunderstanding. No, I said, voice steady. It's years of manipulation. Jack protected me because he knew you'd strike when he couldn't. She slumped against the wall. the fight draining from her. For the first time, I saw cracks in her armor, not just anger, but fear, maybe regret. We moved to the living room. Sarah outlining options: pay restitution quietly or face charges.
Margaret chose qui est.
Transferring funds on her phone, signing admissions. But as she prepared to leave, something shifted. "Emily," she whispered, eyes wet. "I did it because I was scared of losing him to you, of change." It wasn't an excuse, but a glimpse into her pain. Jack had hinted at her lonely upbringing, her husband's early death, leaving her clinging to control. "I get it," I said softly. "But it ends here." She nodded, defeated, and drove away into the sunset. In the weeks that followed, the desert bloomed with unexpected spring rains, mirroring the slow thaw in my heart. Margaret's restitution arrived, $250,000 wired to my account, covering the theft plus interest. The Millers got their deposit back, plus compensation for their troubles. Sarah filed the paperwork to seal the matter, avoiding a public scandal that would tarnish the Blackwood name further. But the victory felt hollow at first. Jack's absence echoed in every corner of the ranch: the empty saddle in the barn, the untouched toolbox in the garage. I threw myself into work, teaching my students about Western history with renewed passion, drawing parallels to personal resilience. Nights were harder. The coyotes' howls a reminder of isolation. Then, a letter arrived from Margaret. No demands, just words. "Emily, I owe you more than money." Jack's death broke me too. I lashed out because you had what I never did: a real partnership. "I'm seeking therapy. Perhaps one day we can talk." It stirred something humane in me. Revenge had been satisfying, but holding on to bitterness felt like carrying rocks in the desert heat. Jack's final note echoed: "Fight back. But remember, love wins." Maybe the lesson was forgiveness, not destruction. I invited her for coffee. She arrived hesitantly, without her usual armor, in simple slacks and a blouse. We sat on the porch, the sun warming the air. "Why now?" I asked. She sighed, gazing at the mountains. "Losing Jack made me see. I pushed him away long before you. My husband died young in a mining accident. I vowed to protect our legacy. But I smothered him instead." We talked for hours, her regrets, my grief. It wasn't instant healing, but a start. She shared family photos, stories of Jack as a boy riding horses. I showed her his designs, how he'd incorporated her love of the land. Over time, we built a fragile bridge. She volunteered at my school, funding supplies for underprivileged kids. I included her in holidays, turning the ranch into a gathering place. The real change came when I discovered an old journal in the safe: Jack's thoughts on family. "Mom's tough because life's been tough on her. If I go first, show her grace. That's how we win." His words guided me to a new ending, not ruin, but redemption. Margaret and I co-founded a support group for widows in Tucson, using the ranch for retreats. We called it Desert Haven, teaching lessons in resilience and reconciliation. The drama of revenge faded into a quieter drama of healing, proving that even in the harsh West, mercy can bloom like desert flowers after rain. But life threw another curve. One evening, as we planned a fundraiser, Margaret confessed more. "There's something else. Jack had a half-sister from my husband's affair. I hid her to protect the family image." Shock rippled through me. "Why tell me now?" "Because secrets destroyed us. Her name's Lisa. Lives in Colorado." Jack knew. He wanted to reach out but feared my reaction. We found Lisa, a rancher struggling with debt. Margaret apologized, offering help. Lisa joined our group, forging bonds. The lesson? Families aren't perfect, but honesty mends them. As the sun set on another day, I felt Jack's presence in the wind. Revenge had given me justice. Humanity gave me peace. With the support group thriving, the ranch buzzed with new energy. Women from across the Southwest came for weekends of talks, trail rides, and therapy sessions under the stars. Margaret transformed too, softer, volunteering her business acumen to secure grants. Our relationship evolved into cautious friendship, bound by shared loss and growth. But echoes of the past lingered. One day, digging through attic boxes for group materials, I found letters from Jack to Margaret, unsent pleas for understanding. Mom, Emily's my partner, not a threat. Let's build bridges, not walls. It humanized her further, showing Jack's quiet efforts at peace. Lisa's arrival added layers. She resembled Jack, with the same easy smile. Over campfires, she shared her story, abandoned by her father, raised in poverty. Margaret broke down, admitting her role in the cover-up. I was ashamed, scared of scandal in our small world. Forgiveness came slowly, but it did. Lisa joined the retreats, her experiences enriching others. The drama shifted from revenge to restoration, teaching that pain, when shared, loses its power. Legally, Sarah ensured everything was airtight, updated trusts, clear titles, no loose ends for future disputes. It felt like closing a chapter, allowing space for new stories. In quiet moments, I'd hike the canyons, feeling Jack's spirit in the rustling mesquite. His lesson was light but profound: hold people accountable, but leave room for change. It made our world bigger, less lonely. As summer heat returned, we hosted our first big event, a gala under tents, with local musicians and barbecue. Margaret spoke, her voice steady. I nearly destroyed a family out of fear. But grace saved us. Let's choose that path. The crowd applauded, and, in that moment, I knew we'd turn tragedy into triumph. Years blended like desert sands, but the ranch stood strong, a beacon for healing. Margaret lived nearby, a regular at family dinners with Lisa and me. We'd laugh over old photos, cry over memories, building what Jack always wanted: unity. The final lesson crystallized during a storm. Lightning cracked the sky as we huddled inside. Power out. Margaret shared her deepest regret. I envied your love with Jack. Mine was duty, not passion. I squeezed her hand. We can start fresh. That's the gift. In the calm after, we watched the rainbow arc over the mountains, a symbol of renewal. Jack's legacy wasn't just the house, it was this mended family, proving that even bitter roots can yield sweet fruit.
Today,
Desert Haven helps hundreds. Its story a quiet testament: revenge tempts, but redemption endures. And in the western sun, we've found our peace.